What is that thing you're doing?
It's technical. It's when we're a little tired. Something is different.
Good friend.
Anything different is good.
Go ahead. Your boss is leaving.
Backhouse man. Not a scientist.
What's always a question of good? You only think about the bad.
I just have a feeling that something is wrong.
Good things do happen.
Make it Centauri time.
Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Groundhog Jungle. My name's Alex Hillman.
And I'm Matt Fleming.
And today we will be looking at
Yes.
and discussing in excellent semi-feature length, half-hour detail, Ghostbusters 2.
Because what we do is if neither of us give a film 10 out of 10, just standard numbers, it's 20 minutes. If one of us gives a film 10 out of 10 but the other one doesn't, it's half an hour. And if we both do, it's 40 minutes. That's our rule that we've evolved.
Yes.
Yes.
Over discussions between podcasts.
Yes. And probably sometimes during, I can't remember.
Maybe, probably, especially considering last week's Little Shop of Horrors review.
Yeah. Which I am a fan of. I mean, I just like...
No, I'm a fan of it
Yeah.
now. I listened to it the other day, and this is the best one we've done. I listened to it while eating a KFC. So I gave this 9.5.
Yeah.
Matt gave it 10, which gives an average of 9.75. Hence why we are making this 30 minutes because of the 10 from Matt.
Yeah.
Now, before Matt sort of talks
Because
about
you know I can, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to just justify why this doesn't get 10 from me.
And I could probably add to it, even though I did give it 10. But carry on.
Okay, well, the reason this doesn't get a 10 from me is not because it isn't an absolutely fantastic, near-perfect film, but I think I've answered my own question there, in that the first one for me is perfect,
Yeah.
This is near-perfect. It doesn't, for me, quite, and when I say quite, I mean literally 99% of it doesn't quite capture the magic of the first film for me, doesn't quite have... it does have the darkness, doesn't quite have as many memorable comedy moments for me, I suppose.
Right.
And that is it. But we're talking about comparing a 9.5 film and a 10 film.
Yeah.
So the difference is marginal, but I had in my head there is a difference, so I had to reflect that in the mark.
Yeah. I was speaking to my dad this week about Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. film. He loves that film. I really like it. I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan, as you know.
Yes, absolutely.
But-
we could do that.
We could do, yeah.
But I couldn't.
Well, we'd have to watch the films together and stuff, and it would be fun. But he's so I said to my dad, yes, I almost loved that film, and he asked what I meant by that, or maybe he didn't, but I told him anyway. And I said,
bet he didn't. I bet he just
no,
told
I
him
don't
anyway.
think he did. I just, let me tell you, Dad, what I mean by almost love. And he's like, yes, I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
And it's this, in that film is really, really entertaining, except at no point does Sherlock Holmes do any detective work. He punches a lot of people, but he doesn't do anything. There's a bit at the end where they shoehorn in, where they go, oh, I suppose this guy should be dead but wasn't, and that's how I worked this out. But it's 25 seconds, if that. So
Right.
there's always something, isn't there, that stops you from fully embracing a film. I would pile on with what you said and say, although I love this film and it's a 10 out of 10 film, it depends what version you see. Now, there is a weird Sky Movies cut that I've seen that is awful. You know, if you
Really?
watch this on DVD, which I think we did in order to see this.
It's the version I grew up with.
Yeah, the version I grew up
Yeah.
with is great. There is it might not just be a Sky Movies version, it might be the film version they show on TV these days.
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
There's usually copyright reasons for that.
There's edits, there's sort of a couple of lines in that you go, oh, that's new and that's different, but I'm not sure it adds anything. One or two of the changes are nice and are welcome, and they're probably, if you get a deluxe DVD edition, and I've got 3 DVDs of Ghostbusters too, but I don't have this version, it's probably like a director's cut or an original or some sort of weird, unique version.
Weird.
But it's not good. So if you watch it on the TV, you might not be getting the same experience, and you might think, actually, this isn't as funny, because that's not as funny, that version, the Sky Movies version.
Can you remember what they cut out?
No,
'Cause
I just remember
I'm not
some
familiar
scenes
with
are a
this
little bit. Some scenes are a little bit overlong, and some scenes there's the odd line. I do remember that in one, when the Ghostbusters come to Dana's workplace and they're looking at the painting. I think there's a bit that goes on for a bit too long. I think that's a really tense scene. That scene, and I think they let it play out for too long rather than ending it, and it ruins the drama. So there's a few moments like that. But let's talk about what the film does do. I mean,
it's a great film. I feel in many ways this film goes down a darker route than the original, which is interesting because the original is dark as well. And the general plot is that the Ghostbusters, it's now been, well,
We're
now
5 years later.
1989,
5 years
aren't we? So
later,
5
which
years
they
later.
say in the plot. They
yeah.
make it clear. A title card comes up, and then Winston and Dana are talking about, how we've gone out of business or something like that. They draw attention to that.
They do a bit of
Neatly
an
done.
exposition, but it's well done. Exposition.
Exposition,
Sorry,
yeah.
couldn't get my teeth around that. Then they've all got different jobs. So Venkman is now like he is basically a talk show host, isn't he? About the paranormal, and it's a very tacky, very very cheesy sort of show. He obviously doesn't believe in anything, but it does create some hilarious moments near the opening.
Valentine's Day, bummer.
Zeddemore
and Ray are doing a party business.
Children's parties. Now that depresses me a little bit.
It's depressing, but also it takes you out the narrative because they are dancing to Ray Parker Jr.'s theme that is not within the film itself.
And I want you, dear listener, to think about how that could possibly be happening. Because that song is too meta for them to be listening to it in their own universe because it references the film and is about the film. Now,
it's like Jim Carrey's character in The Truman Show, knowing the theme tune to the programme about him.
Yes.
That's what it is.
How do they know that song? How does it exist?
Yeah.
Did they employ Ray Parker Jr. to somehow create them a theme tune for their own adverts? I guess that's the only justification.
That's probably what they've done, and they've then used the whole theme tune and danced to it.
But it doesn't make much sense.
But it would sort of be like the Meerkat dancing to a Compare the Meerkat thing. It would not quite.
Yeah.
It would sort of be. I don't understand.
if they were real and did parties.
Yeah. Well, if they were real, they would do parties.
They probably would.
But
and then
it's odd. And Jason Reitman, future Oscar-nominated director, is there at that party.
Yes, he is. He's the annoying kid, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Who's gone on to have a brilliant career.
And then Harold Ramis, Egon Spengler, what's he doing?
He's back to being a scientist.
He's back to being a scientist.
He's a fully fledged scientist.
So they've all kind of taken on different careers that you'd expect them to have. And yes,
because of course, as you said in the Ghostbusters review, she says you're like a game show host, and he pretty much is.
Yes, and I think I made that point in the podcast for that. Yeah, I sort of said he does sort of go on to become one. Or almost. I don't know if that's deliberate or not, but he makes a very good one.
Yeah.
And then Dana Barrett's working in a gallery with a very creepy Peter McNichol,
who is perfect, isn't he? Notes perfect.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant in this. He manages to be creepy without being not funny, so he's still creepy in a funny way.
Yeah.
And he is creepy. He's terrifying in this, even when he's not sort of possessed.
I remember going to the cinema in 1997 to see Bean, the Ultimate Disaster movie.
I love that film.
It's a great film, but it took me a while to get Peter McNichol not being a possessed.
And then
vague
obviously
European.
he's an Ally McBeal as well, and 24 later on in the run. And a very, very good actor. He plays a very different character in all those. Incidentally, just a little segue into Bean. I love how in Bean, he's sort of a failed, family man, which is a staple in 90s family films.
Yeah.
And another staple, Pamela Reed is in it. She's in everything from the 80s and 90s. She's his wife. As soon as he does something wrong, she packs the bags and moves out of all her kids. What kind of a marriage is that? I mean, how is that fair? That happens in so many 90s films as well. And I just think, what kind of awful message was that giving to children in the 90s?
Doesn't it also happen in one of the next films we're going to talk about, What About Bob?
Yes,
I'm sure it keeps happening in 90s films.
It does happen, and and I never really understood that. Even as a kid, that confused me because I thought it would take a lot for my mum to do that.
Someone does something vaguely, but not even embarrassing. The worst thing Peter McNichol has done is said, this slightly bumbling English guy, he's going to move in with us and just stay with us for a bit. That's the worst thing that's happened.
I mean, that's pretty bad, but it's not bad enough to not have a sated down discussion.
Mr. Bean is an idiot, but he's not a paedophile. If she
never thought that would crop up in this.
If she'd have brought home Jimmy Savile or something, fair enough. But she hasn't. He hasn't. I mean, he hasn't.
No.
That's not the plot of Being the Ultimate Disaster movie.
It's also not the plot of Ghostbusters 2.
It's also not the plot of Mr. Bean's Holiday. It's not the plot of a lot of films. Ghostbusters 2, back to this. I mean, loads of things are written down here that I wanted to say. I mean, my main point overall of the review, and I'm really proud of this review, actually.
Yes,
I really like it.
It's for you, it's great.
It's a good... Well, I enjoy reading it, which is really arrogant, isn't it? But I think it's a point that needs to be said for a while. There was a time when we were younger when people would say, right, there have been a couple of James Bond now. There have been Sean Connery, there's been Roger Moore. There was that shit one in between them. And everyone just sort of wrote off on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And now that's not true. Now people accept that it's probably one of the best ones, definitely top 10, maybe even top 5. And that's great that that's happened. But there is this sort of cultural shift in things. And I want to be a part of that for Ghostbusters 2 because it's not shit. For me, I make the point in the review, I saw it probably a couple of weeks or a couple of months after, fairly soon after Ghostbusters 1.
Yeah.
So for me, they're much as they're the same. They are, even though there's a 5-year gap narrative-wise, they are, you could just watch one straight after the other.
Yes.
I think also I do make the point, and I need to say this in the review, that my bank issued holographic stickers that glued up in the dark. And Vigo the Carpathian's eyes boring into you from a door in a hologram form, even if it's tiny as the button on your phone that you use to press enter, even if it's that tiny, it's still, you don't forget that.
No.
And Vigo the Carpathian full length is terrifying. That's why I think this film is scarier than the first one.
It is scarier than the first one. Vigo is terrifying.
Yeah.
For me, one of the most scariest images in the film is when he's coming alive in the painting and you can see his image and he turns into like this hell dog again, doesn't he?
Yeah.
This pig type thing. And they do something really simple with their effects. They just superimpose a couple of images onto the image, onto the film. But it's really effective. And it's really scary. For me, the scariest bit in the film by far is where Peter McNichol
rides in on a bike.
Yeah. And do you remember he has glowing eyes and he goes down the corridor?
Yeah.
And if you could screenshot that image, that would be from pure horror. It's pure horror.
It's pure horror.
And he's going down the corridor. It's completely dark. He's got wires. Then he takes, and as a father, and you're a father as well, the idea of my baby being taken is just awful. And he takes Dana Barrett's baby. It's much more scary. You couldn't take small children to see this film.
No,
it's
too several
scary.
layers of disturbing, isn't it? Because he is going to kidnap Oscar. Oscar? Is that his name? Oscar?
Yeah.
The baby.
Unfortunately, just as a side note, I can't discuss the babies in this film without feeling a little bit sad.
Because one of them's dead.
One of them, I think, did he take his own life?
It was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. And one of them, sadly, now is no longer alive, which is really sad. And it's slightly affected the way I can enjoy this film in a way, because they're babies in the film and they're doing baby type things. Yeah. And I can't help but associate that with my own baby.
But then, you know, the boy that played Michael and Mary Poppins died just a few years after that.
Yeah.
He went on a sort of a backpacking tour and died or something as a result of it. So there is a lot of that
sadness.
Sadness in films that are captured forever.
But yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that there's, although Janusz is kidnapping the baby, it's not really him, he's being possessed. And so for me there's two levels of horror. One, that yes, someone can come in and take your baby, which is terrifying because they think they're safe because they're in a high-rise apartment. Like no one should be able to get to them, but they do. Yeah. But also it's a reminder that there's evil in the world. That there's, I'm not necessarily saying there's possession, but there is that unspeakable evil that it's quite hard to put into words.
And you can't doubt that there are some people in the world that would take your children if they could, you know.
Probably not to sort of sell to an oil painting, or to not sell necessarily, but to give, you know, to become the future of the human race, or whatever. What's the plot, or why are they kidnapping?
If I remember right,
he wants to embody a human form, doesn't he?
A human form so he can take over the world and reinstate his empire.
And when they overlay his face on the babies, that is one of the freakiest things I've ever seen, because
there's a lot of freaky overlays.
He is, and was, because he's dead now, isn't he? Wilhelm von Homburg, is that his name?
Yeah. That's good.
He is one. Well, is that right? Wilhelm von, yes, I was right. Yeah.
He wasn't a very nice person.
He was an extremely ugly person in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He had one of the ugliest faces I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely,
extremely ugly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to be offensive to people's looks, but you know, it's unarguable.
But he was ugly inside and out, wasn't he?
Well, he was a pimp, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He used to get into sort of like street brawls, and he used to organise like cage fights that were illegal and stuff. All sorts of stuff he used to do.
I don't really know why they employed him, to be honest.
No.
Other than the fact that he's perfect.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. Maybe they didn't really care about his personal life. I guess they didn't. We
live in an enlightened time now, don't we? You know, I mean, okay.
I mean, if it was now, it'd be someone like Tyler Mane or someone like that. The guy who did all the Halloween Rob Zombie remake stuff. It would be someone like him now, wouldn't it?
I get the feeling
someone really tall, imposing, but probably a lovely guy in real life.
Do you get the feeling
he wasn't a lovely guy in real life?
We're sort of in a transition period between Ghostbusters 2 and where we need to be for in casting people like him, because he shouldn't have been given the job. He was in Die Hard 2 as well. He shouldn't have been given the job because he was...
Who was he in Die Hard 2?
I'm sure it's Die Hard 2 and not Die Hard 1.
Because there's a guy that looks a lot like him in Die Hard 1.
Yeah, and I don't think that is him.
That's another long-haired guy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and then someone else pops up who's because he died. Yeah, it's not him. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not him. But now
That's the ho 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 guy, isn't it?
yeah. And now I've got your machine gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we live in sort of. I mean, are you annoyed? But I don't know if I should be annoyed by this. But Johnny Depp, who's is almost, I don't want to say legally, but has definitely been accused of sort of hitting his girlfriend, and sort of terrible things there. Or wife, possibly they were married.
Can't remember.
He has, got a role in a Fantastic Beasts 2, a family film. Maybe, and it's because he's Johnny Depp, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's because he's Johnny Depp, and and he's still good looking, and he's still
I think it's
icon
more
and stuff like that.
It suits his style, I guess. But no, I don't think people should be employed if they are. If
I
they've
don't
done
think
reprehensible things. I don't
yeah.
think he should never be employed again.
No.
But I think there should be a cooling off period where you just think, no, I don't want him involved in my project because
At
he's
the
not
moment because
very,
of that, yeah.
he
Until he
needs to learn a
atones or
lesson.
does something.
Yeah, or just,
Well, I don't think that Wilhelm von Homburg ever sort of particularly atoned, but he does look right for this role, and
He
it's
does look right for the role,
that
and he's
in it.
very terrifying. He's a brilliant villain.
Yeah.
And there's also a brilliant line. I think when Peter McNichol, Janus, is on his spiel, he's saying, and pretty soon the world will be mine and Vigo's. And then he goes, well, mostly Vigo. It's just a really good line. It's just very well. Peter McNichol was brilliant in this.
He is brilliant in
He's very
this.
funny. And I
Everyone's
think comedy-wise, it's brilliant. One thing I really like about this film is that they give Winston Zeddemore a much bigger role, and he's very funny in it. And also, I think they've probably evened out the lines a bit more amongst the four of them.
Yeah.
And I think Bill Murray probably gets a little bit less in this film.
As I think
because
I
of that.
say,
and that's fine. That works well because they actually seem more like a team in this film, and they seem more relaxed and like they're enjoying themselves even more in this film.
When I was writing the review, I was sort of like going through all sort of the funny lines, and although Peter gets a lot of the funny lines, it's more in the delivery with him because they know that Bill Murray can do that. But the actual funniest lines all go to Spengler. Let's see what happens when we take away the puppy. We had part of a slinky, but I straightened it. Short but pointless. He was borderline for a while.
Oh
then
yeah, you've reminded me of the courtroom scene. Yeah, which I love. And
which is terrifying in its own way, isn't it?
Yeah.
This judge has electrocuted these brothers.
He's also in 24.
He is.
Yes.
And he comes.
His name's.
And they come back.
Yeah, he plays Roger Stanton in 24. His real name, something like Harris Yulin or something. In fact, it is Harris Yulin.
It is Harris Yulin.
Yeah.
And that's a great courtroom scene.
And they
isn't
come
it?
back, don't they? But as puppets.
Yeah.
Which they've never really explained, but anyway. They look like a Muppet Christmas Carol character.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never found that scene particularly scary.
Have you not?
No.
Something about it to me was that they've been electrocuted and they are still stuck in the chairs.
Yeah.
They are still sort of fried in that. And, but it's a very broad scene anyway with that line we both love about him calling her kitten.
Yeah.
Like it's sexist probably, but
it's very sexist, yeah. But they increase all the roles, actually.
Yeah.
Somehow they manage to make it...
Apart from, and I say this in the
Annie
review...
Potts, she does quite a lot in this film.
She does more. Well, they do increase Rick Moranis' role a little, but it's spread. I mean, it's sporadic. It's almost like they didn't quite have a niche for him. He represents them. He does the comedy sex bit with Annie Potts.
I think he has more lines. He's just in it less.
Maybe.
Annie Potts, I find quite sexy in this film.
She is sexy in this.
She's
There's
rolling
no getting
around
away.
a crystal ball in between her legs. That's lovely.
And I think I have to say that we said in a previous review that we could only sort of name a couple of things she was in. She apparently is young Sheldon's grandmother in the TV series Young Sheldon.
Is she?
Is
she old enough to be his grandmother?
Well, now probably.
Yeah. I suppose this. Yeah, I keep forgetting that 1989 is now a long time ago.
Yeah, but she is really sexy in this. I found that even when I was a child.
Yes. Yes, yeah, that's interesting.
She was the first redhead in a long line of redheads.
Yeah, ending up with your wife.
Yes. Yeah, definitely ending up. There have been no more.
I know.
I've stopped now.
Yes.
My redhead addiction is curbed. Yeah. Although I did sleep with Ed Sheeran last week. Which I hate the shape of him.
Yeah.
Shape. That would have been funny if I said the word shape correctly.
You slept with Ed Sheeran?
Yeah.
Well, but he said he was sitting me.
What day was this?
Does it matter?
Yes!
What do you mean it matters?
Well, I did it after I saw you last week because I didn't want to sort of cross-pollinate. I didn't want to sort of... So you left, you drove off at about sort of 5:15. I then called him up, and that's what we did that evening.
Mm.
Have you haven't been seeing him for longer periods than that? Because we only meet half an hour max.
Who's Max? Anyway, we're not really sleeping with Ed Sheeran.
No.
So
no.
Yeah,
the lights are off. I could be sleeping with anyone.
Oh. Yeah, that's gross. Does
The
your
thing
bed
is,
still
there are
smell of
worse
him?
people. There are worse people to, like, say the lights go off and suddenly the lights come back on and it's Ed Sheeran. There are still worse people, I think.
Yeah. What, in the world, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Theresa May.
You'd rather sleep with Ed Sheeran than Theresa May?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I would.
Yeah. I think
But
a lot of people would.
Yeah.
Maybe even Theresa May's husband. I'm not sure.
Oh.
No, that's not true. Sorry, Theresa.
I'm sure he'd rather sleep
She's
with her.
Theresa May's husband, who I
Anyway.
believe I saw once in West Quay.
You probably did.
Yeah. It definitely looked like him. It
live
really
near
looked like
there,
him. Do they?
Yeah.
So
I think I saw Noel Gallagher in Heathrow Airport once.
I think I saw Adele on a train to Basingstoke just after her first album had come out, but before the second.
Excellent. Anyway, back on the Ghostbusters.
So, back
2.
on the Ghostbusters. So we talked about the scariness. This is a scary film. It's
Yeah.
scarier. Funnier, it probably isn't necessarily funnier. You said this earlier, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I did, didn't I? Yeah.
But by then-
there's some good stuff.
Yeah, but-
Ray, Egon. And then he does a really big smile.
Yeah, he does. Because he's loving it, and they all are.
Yeah.
Despite what Bill Murray tells people
Yeah.
and has told people, he's still appeared in Free Ghostbusters. What is with my voice today? Ghostbusters.
I find that sort of thing really
I'm
funny.
a Bill Murray fan. I can't even
Ghostbusters.
say Ghostbusters. Throw me out of the
Bob
league.
Murray.
We love Bill Murray in this, of course. Sigourney Weaver steps it up. She is amazing in this.
She's lovely. She's really kind. She's really sweet again.
She's
and
she's
a
Dana
lovely
Barrett,
mother.
and she's the mother. I was about to
Yeah.
say. And here's another scene that, as a parent, because I've watched this since becoming a parent, and I think you have. When the pram is let go.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
even as a child, I thought that was
very
horrendous. But
scary.
now,
Yeah, the pram going down the streets
and
of
the
New York
slime,
City.
we've said the idea that something could corrupt you like that coming through the bathtub, trying to get the
That's
baby,
quite
trying
scary.
to eat the baby.
Yeah. The special effects in this film are a step up from the first
Yeah.
film. There's some computer effects, I think.
Yeah.
I think they've got computers involved somehow. I don't know how in 1989, but I do know that the technology was there.
Yeah.
Because the first Pixar film was released in 85, I think.
Yeah.
Which was the lampshade.
The
That's
lampshade
where
thing.
they get their logo
Their
from.
logo, yeah.
Interestingly, I think that is Pixar. I think.
Yeah.
I think that is the Pixar. But anyway, yes, the special effects are good. I might be wrong about that.
No,
but it's
no,
definitely
you-
the lampshade
yeah.
is the first thing. No, I'm wrong.
I thought it was called
I am wrong.
Lampy or something. Where did
It
I
might
get that
be,
from?
and also I got the first film wrong. The first film wrong is something like a clapping monkey or something, or a little bit of
okay.
a toy that comes to life, and the lampshade came later. Anyway, computer effects were around, and I think they've used some of them for this. The pink slime in the bathtub I always found scary. Also, always a little bit confused as a kid because the bathtub bends with the slime. So I never really understood the physics of that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And then the underground layer of pink slime. And I love how the anger translates to the Ghostbusters. It's
Yeah.
such family-friendly anger.
Yeah.
I'm going to punch your lights out.
Yeah.
Doesn't one of them say that
Yeah.
or something? And that's
But
supposed
as
to
a
be
child,
anger.
that was probably the biggest explosion of anger I'd ever seen.
Oh, really?
And,
Okay.
well, in a sense,
that's
maybe
nice in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that that's how angry they get. I remember, thinking when I was younger, genuinely, they're going to kill each other. This is going to go. This is going to go
sad.
wrong. And like when Dana and Peter are having dinner, and the Ghostbusters turn up, I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be awkward.
Yeah.
There's a sort of
Yes,
adult
I
awareness to
always
some of this.
really sympathise with Peter in that scene.
Yeah.
Because I just want them to go away.
Well, it's like it's like when work intrudes on your home life. It's,
Yeah. Yes. It's a bit, I suppose, you could argue, it's a bit like you turning up when I'm having dinner with Fern and saying, should we do a podcast?
Which I've got to
Which
stop
I
doing.
love doing. Yeah, which I love.
Yeah.
But it's all contextual, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't actually do that. We should just be clear.
Oh, no,
Although
I know you don't.
I also
I know
don't
you don't.
actually have sex with Ed Sheeran.
I do.
Yeah.
No, I
What's
don't.
that like?
Hairy.
Yeah. Does he have a Lego house? Is that what he takes you back to?
He has a Lego house, but he doesn't take me back to it.
I don't know what that means.
Shoves it up my arse. Anyway, so yeah, another thing I love about this film is the relationship between Venkman and Dana Barrett. You see, obviously they've, been unlucky in their previous incarnation of
Yeah.
relationship, but they obviously still really care about each other. And there's some lovely scenes here. There's a lovely scene where they're both putting the baby to bed, And then Margaret says to him, "Can you just put the baby down?" And he's like, "Well, you're fat, you're lazy, you're a terrible burden on your mother," and stuff like that. Very funny. It's not the sort of thing children would get, probably.
No, I used to love...
Possibly ad-libbed again.
I used to love that scene for that line, but I also, when I was younger, used to love that scene for simply the idea of Ray and Egon, two very socially awkward men, being around a child and sort of having to sort of go over the cart and go over everything at the baby monitor and just be around that environment.
Two men who are never going to be dads, probably.
Yeah, sadly. Although I think... I don't know.
Do you reckon? I know some men like that.
No, that's a shame, isn't it? Ray,
You mutually
I think...
know some men like that.
Yeah. But Ray, let's not dwell on that. Ray, I think has got more chance of Egon because Ray is slightly more interested in people, slightly.
Yes.
Than Egon.
Egon, I can't see ever having children. Zeddemore could already have children. I think they're having grown-up children.
Yeah. In the third Ghostbusters film,
he's got one of my favourite moments in this film, by the way,
which is Winston.
Yeah, wait, I suppose it's not technically him, but it's his reaction.
Yeah.
Winston.
Yeah, because that is really scary. And then the ghost train goes through him.
Yeah, isn't that an answer? No, I've just remembered. Aren't they all trying to get echoes?
Yeah,
and then they go, "Hi, hi, hi, hi," and Winston's like, "Hey." And there's no echo, and then instead he just gets a Winston.
Yeah. I tried starting that in the office today. So I was like, "Who's with me?" And I was in a mood to sing Genesis, and I said, "This is the world we live in." And one of my colleagues, Paul, went, "Yeah, I know that song." Which was one of the most hilarious things that's happened to me for ages, because he pitched it just 1 second too late, and then I thought maybe he was actually going to give me the reaction I needed. It was like it was a roller coaster of like reaction moments. It was lovely,
and he didn't give you it.
He didn't, but that's okay. That's him. He's him. I just
is he?
He is. Yeah.
I've seen that, by the way.
You see, I know that the picture in Planet Hollywood, the one that happens at the end, where they're all turned into like a Renaissance, the Ghostbusters, and a Renaissance painting, and the baby is on a cloud, like hovering between them.
And they've even given Bill Murray a Renaissance painting, like expression on his face.
I remember they have. I remember wondering. Sometimes we pause because the clock in here goes off. That's why we do that.
They can hear the clock.
Can they?
Yeah.
Let's just let them hear it.
Okay.
No, we don't have to.
No,
sometimes I wonder. No, paying.
They're not paying.
Well, you know,
not
someone
paid,
listening to this. No, they might feel like they're paying for.
It's not a
something.
service at the moment.
No,
I haven't uploaded the last 5.
Well, I look forward to binging those.
Yeah, I will upload.
I in my City of Ember review, I make a point of commenting on there's a lovely painting of Bill Murray as a mayor in that's behind him in his office, wondering what's happened with that. Yeah, saying I would quite like it, if no one else sort of wants it. And so how many paintings have there been of Bill Murray in films? That's an interesting. I don't know. At least those two. I feel like there should have been one of him in Scrooge, but there probably wasn't.
Wasn't there one of him in the Jim Jarmusch villain film? Wasn't there one of him hanging up?
Oh, possibly. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We're running out of time, but there's loads to say about this film.
That's what I meant.
Limits of Control. Yeah, yes. Can't wait till we talk about that film.
I can.
One of the things.
Spoiler alert. It's not very good.
No, we didn't enjoy it. In fact, I think we'd probably revise our marks in our head, although we can't do that. But we probably would even half them. I would. I think as time has passed.
But this is a really, really fantastically great film.
It's a great fun
so
film.
Entertaining. As I say, the special effects. The other special effect I was thinking of was the Statue of Liberty, which is brilliant, and the Titanic as well.
Yeah, of course.
All great special effects.
That Statue of Liberty moment is both sort of one of the worst and the best bits of it. It's one of the worst bits in the.
It takes you out of the fact that it's a film, actually, because it makes it into a bit of an event. And and it recalls the Stay Puft Marshmallow thing, which they've just copied and pasted. They've just gone, what can we have? Let's have a big, larger-than-life character. It's the same idea, and that's a bit lazy. Similar
Having said that, it's so stirring with that Jackie Wilson music. It's so stirring walking down, and everyone's like hearts in New York. But it's very idealistic.
It's very idealistic. There was a lot of marketing and promotion with this film, vastly more than the first film. Just thought I'd say that.
I was just going to say. Well, sorry.
Things like Happy Meals, special cans of Coke. special packs of Persil, stickers. It was heavily promoted.
It was. I remember those glossy stickers. We talked a bit about last time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
No, I'm not saying we're repeating ourselves. One thing we didn't say though was the that sort of, I love that spirit, the New York spirit. That it doesn't even exist, but well, maybe it does. But
I think it probably does.
It probably does. It's weird to think this film was released.
You feel it when you're there
in '89, which is during a Republican era. Yeah. Well, to America, I don't think I've been to New York actually, but. Yeah, it's weird to think that this is because it doesn't feel that moment at the end like a Republican. I'm not insulting the Republicans, but it doesn't feel like a Republican film and a Republican sentiment at the end.
You can insult the Republicans if you want.
Well, some people...
They've lost the House, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't know what's happened with that. I mean, everyone's spinning it a certain way, aren't they? I don't.
Yeah, I think both sides seem to think they've won, rather like our past general election last year.
Yeah.
Or was it this year?
Whereas no one won, we all lost.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else we want to say about this film? Actually, there is lots to say, but I feel like we have said all of the important things.
We've said all the important things. If you want to find out more, read Matt's review on the website, which
Although
is
most of the things I've just repeated because I am such a fan of it that I've just been taking things out and going, I like that.
I mean, it's great. It's, last... what's the next film? It's Quick Change, isn't it? Which I believe is so this is the last film of the 80s.
Yeah, and when you think of what Bill Murray contributed towards films in the 80s, there have been a sort of core group of films, Caddyshack.
One thing, Caddyshack, Stripes, Ghostbusters, both films.
Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors I would include as well.
But the thing you've got to think about with this, and we're not going to get an exact 30, but that's okay. The thing I think is worth remembering with this is that we are in a real inner cluster of fantastic Bill Murray films now, and for all those films we sort of watched at the beginning, now this is where all the gold is, I think, and from now on, really.
Yeah, we don't get a dud for quite a while. I would argue our first real dud is like maybe Larger Than Life, and that's in sort of about 5 years' time from this. Yeah, he's making a string of, even if they're films that aren't massively well known, like Quick Change,
they're still great.
They're still really good films. Yeah. He's hit his stride, and we look forward to seeing him in those and talking about him more. Yeah, this has been Ghostbusters 2.
So, goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me, in true Ronnie style.
Yeah, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Cheerio.